Hello, and welcome back to Homegrown Theatre Camp. Yes, we were gone for a while, but now we have returned with a special winter show that you can put on at home. I'm your director, Mackenzie, and today in rehearsal we will learn about the play that we're making, find where we fit in the script, and find the urgency and stakes in the story. This time, we'll be putting on The Mitten, adapted from the Ukrainian folktale by Alaina. This is the first of 2 rehearsal videos where we'll give you info and exercises to help you put your show together, and then you can perform your play for your families at home. You can download everything you need to put on the show for free in the first link in the description. So grab your script and let's get into it. Though I dabble in European literature, I'm no expert in Ukrainian folklore. For that, we turn to my friend Alaina, who also wasn't an expert in Ukrainian folklore until she started adapting this script. Maybe she can tell us a little something about the culture and the style of The Mitten.
Oh, hello there. Have you come here for some stories? I'm afraid I don't know any stories of my own, but I do know the history of some stories. So would you like to stay a little while and learn? All right. So, The Mitten is a play based on a Ukrainian folktale. While there are many different versions of the story, each tale includes a boy who loses his white mitten in the snow, and the mitten is then used as shelter by various woodland animals. Ukraine isn't the only country with folktales, though. Folktales were invented by poor villagers and peasants who would entertain their children with exciting stories. These stories actually originated in Germany over 200 years ago. After a while, people all over the world were inventing their own folktales to pass down to their children. There are 3 important parts to a folktale. First, folktales are meant to be told out loud. Secondly, folktales include some kind of lesson at the end. And finally, folktales tell stories of day-to-day life. While a lot of stories today are written down in books, folktales were actually meant to be told out loud. Before television was invented, people would gather around a fireplace and tell stories to each other. Because folktales were usually meant for kids, they always include some kind of lesson at the end. For example, the lesson in The Mitten is about kindness towards each other. The final important element of a folktale is that it tells stories of day-to-day life. Folktales aren't about slaying dragons or rescuing princesses. They're about the daily struggles we all face. Even though the characters in these folktales may face challenges throughout the story, such as losing their mitten, at the end of the day, they are able to solve their problem and live happily ever after. Speaking of mittens, I've got some knitting of my own to finish up, so goodbye.
Before you read through a script, it can be helpful to check out a synopsis. So let's see the story of The Mitten. Homegrown Theatre Camp presents The Mitten, adapted by Alaina from the Ukrainian folktale. The Mitten begins in Act 1, Scene 1, when Alexei goes out to get firewood. His grandmother gives him a pair of white mittens and he promises not to lose them. In Act 1, Scene 2, we meet a rabbit hopping through the forest. The rabbit predicts that there will be snow that night and is worried about staying warm. In the next scene, we are introduced to a mouse who has been chased out of their den. The mouse is looking for somewhere warm for the night. In Act 1, Scene 4, we meet a fox and her newborn. They're heading back to their den before the cold sets in. In Act 1, Scene 5, we return to Alexei as he looks for firewood. It seems that he's lost his white mittens in the snow somewhere. After looking for them, he tries to keep warm. In the first scene in Act 2, the rabbit, desperate to find warmth, finds the mittens and uses them to cover their ears. Once the rabbit finds its burrow, it leaves the mittens back in the snow. In Act 2, Scene 2, the mouse is freezing in search of shelter. The mouse stumbles onto the mitten and hides in it for the night. In Act 2, Scene 3, the fox finds the mitten empty and, in hopes of keeping her baby warm, puts it inside of the mitten. In Act 2, Scene 4, Alexei finds the mittens and a few gifts in front of the house. He finds a note that says, "Thank you, stranger, for helping us through the blizzard. Here are some gifts to help you through the rest of the season. In Act 2, Scene 5, Alexi arrives home and tells his grandmother about what happened. She is glad that he is home and safe.
Before you start rehearsing, you'll need to decide who will be playing each part. If you're performing the one-person version of the show, you'll simply be playing everyone. But if you're performing the 2 to 4-person versions of the show, you can use the casting guide on the first page to help you decide who will be playing who. Once you've got your characters figured out, then you can start your read-through. Read through the play out loud and take notes as you go. These notes can be over anything like ideas that you have for staging or even questions that you have about the show. You can also write down any words that you don't know and look them up later. Once you've got your notes, after your read-through, you can discuss these questions and ideas that you had with your castmates. Dramatic action in a play or movie is often built on conflict. This conflict comes from the interaction between a character's objectives, or what they want, and their obstacles, what's standing between them. You can learn more about both of those things in this video. These conflicts create urgency. The primary source of urgency in the Mitten is the weather. As night quickly falls, the forest becomes colder, and the characters need to find warmth, and fast. This urgency makes the action more exciting, as it means that the characters need to overcome their obstacles quickly so that they can be safe. Each character has their own set of stakes, or what they are risking. And these stakes, when your character thinks about them, it helps to heighten the urgency. For instance, in the Mitten, the fox's stakes are that they need to find warmth before the cold hurts them and their child. When you're performing as a character, it's helpful to think about the stakes because it brings your energy up when you think about what is at risk for this character. Once you're done with your read-through, jot down what you think the stakes are for all the characters that you're playing so that you can recall them when you're rehearsing. You're all set to start your read-through and rehearse your play. Now you're ready to decide your characters, read through the script, and find the stakes for each character. Tomorrow we'll give you some tech tutorials to help you put the whole thing together. Until then, good luck and learn your lines.
Thank you for watching Homegrown Theatre Camp. You can download the script and activity sheets for free from our website. This camp was made in partnership with Beyond School Bells.